It's headed your way.
We got almost a half inch last night in Greenfield on the valley floor, so that's a good sign.
And I was just saying just a minute ago that Wilkin had a little over an inch.
We got almost a How are we doing on quorum, Safarina?
We have a quorum. We are
Okay,
just
wonderful.
waiting for Commissioner Velasquez to jump on, but otherwise everyone else is in attendance.
Okay, we're right at 4, so let's go ahead and get started. It's 4 p.m. This is a meeting of Monterey County's LAFCO. It's a regular commission meeting here Monday, March 28th. I'm going to go ahead and call us to order. I'm going to go ahead and ask that Safarina take us through a roll call to start this meeting off.
Thank you, Chair Lopez. We'll start off with Commissioner Alejo.
Here. Hello, everyone.
Commissioner Root Askew.
I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Craig.
Here.
Commissioner Gorley.
Here.
Commissioner Oglesby.
Here.
Commissioner Poitras.
Here.
Commissioner Snodgrass.
Here.
Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Velasquez.
Here.
Vice Chair Leffel.
Here.
And Chair Lopez.
Here,
We have a
I'm going to go ahead and ask Mary Ann if she doesn't mind leading us in the pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mary Ann. With that, we are at our general public comments. This is an opportunity for the public to make comments regarding items not on today's agenda, but within the purview of LAFCO. We ask folks to use the raise hand function, *9 via landline in order to be recognized. We're going to go ahead and limit public comment today to 2 minutes. So at this time, I'll look for hands. I see a Samsung with their hand raised saying Samsung SMG891A. The floor is yours. And I believe Safarina is going to run the clock for us today.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Rodriguez. I am a veteran of Monterey County. And it is with heavy heart that I have to come before you this evening. We have an emergency situation that is going on in Greenfield that needs to be brought to your attention. We have a district, which is the Greenfield Memorial District, that has been spending warrants that have not been approved by the Greenfield Memorial District Board of Directors. And this is very problematic. The current president has not called for a meeting for the first quarter of the year. Yes, that means that there were no public meetings or special meetings called for the months of January, February, or March. So the first quarter of 2022, there have been no public meetings, no special meetings, and no district board meetings to get the approvals so that it could approve such spending warrants. Mr. Chairman, this needs to be addressed. This needs to be resolved expeditiously. We really need your help. The veterans of Monterey County down here need to know that hopefully soon that we cannot continue this way of doing business for the next 30, 60, 90 days. We need help down here, and we are looking for any kind of help that you guys could help us in getting these directors and educating these directors to do their public meetings so that the public can have an opportunity to review the financials and the operations of what are going on. At this time, the veterans of the Green Memorial District are not being given an opportunity to voice their opinions, be able to review and scrutinize rules, or be able to view and scrutinize financials. We are very concerned that our Veterans Hall is not being operated in a proper business fashion.
Pardon me,
Thank you,
Mr.
Paul.
Paul.
We're at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Thank you for your comments. Paul,
Thank you.
I do see a physical hand up from Michael Bloom. Michael, we'll go ahead and give you the ability to unmute yourself. You should have that ability now, and you've got 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, from my own district. Appreciate your work and attention. I am one of the veterans that lives down here in Greenfield, and I represent the veterans whenever there's a meeting to be held. And hence my complaint, as the previous caller just pointed out, we have been unable to have a meeting for the entire first quarter of the year and for the last 3 months of the last year. There are issues that we need to deal with as far as being veterans, and we're concerned that we're being overlooked down here. The other thing is, we're also aware of the fact that finding placements during these last couple of years for board members and board members that will be willing to take on these jobs under the circumstances of COVID has been difficult. But we've been one member shy down here, as required by law, to have a majority of the board be composed of veterans. And right now we're sitting in, if we were to have a meeting, on a 2 and 2, 2 civilians and 2 military, or 2 veterans on the board, which makes it also extremely difficult to conduct business. So here again, we're appealing for any help or attention you may be able to give to this matter to assist us in getting these issues resolved so we can start moving forward. Now we've got a meeting, so would be normally scheduled for next Tuesday, which is the first Tuesday of the month as dictated by the bylaws down here. Not sure anything can be done in that rapid time, but anything you can do for us and help us, as I said, would be greatly appreciated. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael. Is there any other public comments at this time? See no hands up via Zoom and nobody with the camera on and hand up physically. I'll go ahead and close public comment and thank Michael and Paul for sharing their comments today. It's not a scheduled item on today's agenda, so we can't have a back and forth conversation for that reason. But do want you to know that I'm aware and have spoken with commissioners as recently as Friday, and hopefully we will have that meeting very soon to start moving us forward together. But thank you for raising the issue. And again, just due to this, the way public comment works, we can't have a back and forth, but appreciate you both attending and raising the issue today. Thank you. With that, we're going to continue forward. Next up is our consent agenda, which consists of items 1 through 4. Is there a member of the commission who wishes to pull an item from our consent agenda? Seeing no hands up, I will go to the public and see if there's a member of the public who wishes to pull an item from consent today.
Move approval, Craig.
I'll second.
Second, Leffel.
I'm going to take the motion from Craig, the second from Gorley, and ask Safarina to take us through a roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Alejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Craig,
Aye.
Commissioner Gorley,
Aye.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Aye.
Commissioner Portress,
Yes.
Vice Chair Leffel,
Yes.
and Chair Lopez.
Yes, the motion carries. Thank you, Safarina. With that, we're at new business, first of which is to consider public member appointments to LAFCO. In order to move us forward, I'm going to go to our executive officer for a report.
Thank you, Chair Lopez, members of the commission. The purpose of today's agenda item is to consider and make appointments to the 2 public member seats of of the commission. These are 4-year seats. We have our current seats, of course, are held by Commissioner Matt Gorley and Commissioner Steve Snodgrass. Their terms, or the terms of their seats, will be expiring in May. And so we have done a recruitment and have now 6 candidates who have submitted their qualifications for your consideration. We have invited all 6 of the candidates to introduce themselves briefly to you today. And so we could, I'd like to invite the candidates to do so. And I believe, Chair, that you'll call them up Page 2 of our staff report has each of the candidates' names, and their candidate information is attached to the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. So yeah, we have 6 candidates who've submitted interest and applications, and I'm going to go ahead and give each 3 minutes. We're going to go in alphabetical order, which will take us in the order of Gorley, Heil, Hoffman, Malkin, Rollin, and then Snodgrass. So that's the order we'll go. I'm going to go ahead and start with Gorley. Matt, if you want to go ahead and start when you're ready.
Good afternoon, commissioners, chair. I think with my experience a number of years ago and being president of VAMBAG, sitting on all of our local boards, TAMC, even Cal LAFCO, I think it's established I'm a regional thinker, consider all sectors countywide that LAFCO touches. It's obvious I'm in the private sector. My public experience for, over 25 years of public experience being on several boards with City of Gonzales, Monterey County. It gives me that opportunity to look from both sides and not have a predetermined look at it. I think back in the days of the early days of LAFCO before Cortese Knox, and we were looking at the golden lines around the cities and not building into prime ag land areas and those growth lines that we established. And I think that's probably my biggest commitment to LAFCO, and my biggest reason to stay on board with LAFCO is to make sure that we stay true to all those that served up LAFCO and make sure we growing towards those growth areas to the east of most of the valley cities, and to make sure that we don't have sprawl along our freeways. Our ag land is something that we all cherish, and that's probably the biggest reason that we've got the valley floor set up the way it is. Also, the incredible staff that we've had a chance to work with the last 20 years, Kate and her staff, the work that they've done with special districts and consolidations, growth boundaries. I just think, we've got something great that's going on right now with LAFCO, and I'd like to continue to serve if you'll have me. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. With that, we're going to go to John. Is it Hale or Heil?
It's Heil. Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. As you all know, I'm a relative newcomer, a face many of you probably don't recognize. I'm relatively new to the area. I moved here with my wife in 2010, and we found a really great home to retire to in Carmel Valley, and I promptly failed my first shot at retirement and went to work teaching English at school in Gilroy, California for 5 years. And then more recently, I've started serving on the Carmel Valley Association board and worked with COPA, which is a community organizing agency. And I have caught a bug for public service at a volunteer level here in my retirement. So, of course, LAFCO is in the news with a couple of decisions, but I'm kind of more interested in seeing that the greatest good for the greatest number of people is considered. I really will be offering a fresh perspective. I come from a pretty well-educated background, and I would seek to make informed decisions with the rest of you about regulating boundaries and establishing or adjusting spheres of influence, and support the conduct of the studies of government and services that your staff has done so well with in the years past, and help coordinate any changes. So I submit myself as a candidate under those conditions, and I'd give it a great shot if I was given the opportunity to serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Heil. With that, we'll go to Gary Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to address you today. As you can see from my resume, I've dedicated my adult life to public service, both in professional engineering, as well as my volunteer environmental work. The reason why that I'm applying for this position is my strong belief in the essential need for LAFCO throughout the state and the mission of LAFCO to preserve ag land, discourage urban sprawl, and encourage efficient delivery of government services. I grew up in the Central Valley and saw firsthand the urban sprawl that covered productive ag land, and I thought at the time how wrong it was and wondered what mechanisms could be put in place to stop it. I believe that my many years of public service, helping communities across the state deal with water supply and pollution issues, and my environmental stewardship experiences would be a good perspective to have on the commission. Also, my current work on the Monterey County Civil Grand Jury demonstrates my deep desire to improve government operations and efficiencies through investigations of government operations throughout the county. Again, I appreciate the opportunity and will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Next, we're going to go to a familiar face for all those who've worked in county government for any length of time, Mr. Gerald Malkin. Mr. Malkin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm applying for the position of the public member to be a public member of the board of the commission. In my youth, in the 60s and 70s, I grew up in Santa Clara County and personally witnessed its unrestrained and mismanaged growth. In the 80s, I moved back east and got a law degree and a master's in city and regional planning with an emphasis in government law and inclusionary housing. As part of that master's program, we were taught how growth, like in Santa Clara County and Riverside County, which had its abuses with redevelopment agency authority, could be avoided with sound planning and management, avoiding urban sprawl, and making sure that spheres of influence were really spheres of influence, not just entities grabbing land and getting bigger. I've been a resident of Monterey County for almost 40 years, and I've observed the changes in growth within the county generally and within many of its cities and special districts. I currently split my residence between the city of Salinas and the rural unincorporated property outside of Arroyo Seco. And on a daily basis, I'm affected by the spheres of influence issues in each of those areas. I'm a retired local attorney with experience in land use, LAFCO, redevelopment agency, taxes, and public law. As a retired county attorney with over 35 years of experience, I've appeared in front of and/or advised almost all of the local agencies, including as LAFCO counsel in the 90s, the County Assessment Appeals Board as both board counsel and assessors counsel, and the County Planning Commission and its various boards. I have no alliance with any city or the county. As indicated, I've been formally retired from the county since 2016, although I did go back to work part-time for special matters. I do have an interest in development and spheres of influence and proper managed growth. And I would be honored to be appointed to LAFCO as the public member.
Thank you, Mr. Malkin.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to invite up Ronald Rowland. Mr. Rowland, the floor is yours.
This is Ronald Rowland, and apparently the camera is not doing what the camera should be doing, but I'll let that go.
We can see you.
Well, good. Okay, thank you very much. I have not volunteered for any of these kinds of positions before. I'm a retired Air Force officer. I'm also just retiring from a business we started 30 years ago, and looking around to how I could make my time available, make my experience available to LAFCO. And this seemed like a really good place to start. I know some of the people on the commission, not all of them, but I've had a nice meetings with those that I have met. I'm been working here with the Sheriff's Air Squadron quite a bit and with the Delray Oaks Police Advisory Group. I've worked with the Monterey Bay Defense Alliance to support any BRAC issues going on in the Monterey area. And so I had read all of the LAFCO material in the charter. And I think with my experience in the military, my experience with the what I've been doing in Monterey since then with a private business, teaching at the Naval Postgraduate School, that I too would bring a fresh breath of air into LAFCO itself. One of my concerns is with LAFCO and with many other government organizations is the having term limits for people that spend time on the commission. I don't come with any baggage of any organization at all. And I think I could provide a new, fresh perspective in support of LAFCO issues. So thank you very much for listening to me, and good luck in your choice of the representatives.
Thank you, Mr. Rowland. And our last speaker today will be Steve Snodgrass. Steve, I see you're with us. When you're ready, the floor is yours.
Well, Chris, I just got to say, being the last, I feel like I'm alphabetically challenged in my career here. But many of you know me that I've been on the LAFCO Commission for the last 8 to 10 years. And I began my tenure as a special districts representative. And I chaired the commission for a year. And I did serve the last 4 years as public member alternate. I think I have a pretty good sense of what LAFCO does. Obviously, after 8 to 10 years, you'd hope so. But I was on the board of directors of Pajaro Sunny Mesa, which went through an annexation process that, quite frankly, we were clueless as to what to do. And I would give a shout out to Kate McKenna to walking through that. And that kindled my desire to get involved with LAFCO. I'm very concerned about this new healthcare district that's being formed headquartered in Santa Cruz County that reaches down into North County as to how the representation will work. And we obviously need a voice on that. But I also believe I bring a different perspective to the commission than most of the other commissioners, because I began my career practicing as a CPA for one of the world's largest public accounting firms. And as of Friday, I will formally end my career with Granite Rock Company after serving the past 17 years as chief financial officer. And I believe the financial perspective is valuable to the LAFCO process. But I also have a fair amount of land use knowledge that I gained during my tenure on LAFCO, but also CEQA knowledge as I successfully led a legal action back in the late 90s. It was a CEQA lawsuit. But the most important reason why I believe I should be selected as LAFCO commissioner is that rural North Monterey County will not be represented on this commission if I'm not reelected. And I represent the concerns of the communities of Aromas, Castroville, Pajaro, Los Lomas, Prunedale, and the rest of Royal Oaks. And it's very important that North County do continue to be represented as, again, if you look across the spectrum of candidates and commissioners, we will not be represented unless I'm reelected. But I thank you for the consideration. I very much enjoyed getting to know all of you on the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and ask a procedural question of staff. Perhaps it's for council. In terms of the vote, does the public member have a vote in this?
That's a very good question. Kate,
Yes,
do you know this off the top of your head?
I do, thankfully.
You've been through this before.
I have. Yes, appointments to the public member seats require a positive vote from one city member, one special district member, and one county member. And the public members do not get votes in this. Also, each appointment needs at least 4 votes in total. So that would be the process following your invitation, Chair Lopez, to receive any public comments.
Right. And one more question for you, Kate. In terms of process here, we are selecting a member and an alternate, correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay. Just wanted that out there so everyone understood. And with that being clarified, I want to see if there's any questions or comments from members of the commission. Seeing no hands up, we'll take it out to the public and see if there's any comments from members of the public. Invite folks to use the raise hand function, *9 via landline in order to be recognized. I do see a hand up from Melody Chrislock. Melody, we'll go ahead and do as we did in our earlier public item and allow 2 minutes per speaker. You should have the ability to unmute, and the floor is yours.
Yes, Melody Chrislock. As I understand it, the duty of the public member is to represent the public. My experience with Matt Gorley was not good. It took me 3 weeks to get a return call from him. And that only happened after I went to Kate McKenna and complained. So he doesn't seem to care much for communicating with the public who he's supposed to represent. When I did reach him with my issue about the CalAm buyout, he told me that, of course, a private company could always do a better job, and he thought it was ridiculous to have public ownership of our water supply. So he had a prejudice from the beginning. Why would you vote for a public member who refuses to listen to or respect the public? Gorley's vote against the voice of 24,000 voters should be a red flag. Why is he doing that? Out of his own personal bias and opinion. That's not what the public member is supposed to be doing. He's shown arrogance in all of his discussion of the issue that so deeply affects 90,000 Peninsula CalAm ratepayers. Please vote for a candidate who will listen to and represent the public in this matter and in all matters without bias and without their own personal agenda of being a private guy. That doesn't matter here. This is about the public. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Melody. I don't see any other hands up in the public. I'm going to go ahead and widen my screen here just in case anybody's manually putting a hand up. I don't see any, so I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to the commission. Any additional conversation or questions from commissioners? Mayor Commissioner Craig.
Yeah, I just, and I realize this is probably more appropriate to have asked during questions, but I'm wondering, Kate, if you can just speak to the recruitment process. I'm respectfully speaking, just as a female and certainly looking at the diversity of a board, our applicants geographically are diverse, but I'm just wondering what we did to request applications, or if you could speak to that to the general public, please.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. In general, we prepared and distributed a public notice and a press release throughout Monterey County and to solicit interested candidates. And Jonathan, can you please help me with details on that, please?
Yes. We advertised in the Monterey County Weekly, and that was soliciting applications from the public, and it's been posted on our website. We also sent out, as Executive Officer Kate McKenna mentioned, press releases to the media, and then any inquiries from the public, we provided the notice as well.
Was there any social media presence?
No, not to my knowledge. No, there's no social media.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it, Chair Lopez. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Craig. We'll go to Commissioner Alternate Velasquez.
Thank you, Chair Lopez. I just have a quick question. I believe I heard that there is no term limit
can you just confirm that for these positions? I know that there was reference in terms of some of the members, existing members that have been in the commission for a while. So just want to confirm we do not have term limits.
I can answer that if you'd like, Chair.
Please.
The Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act, which is the state law that regulates our commission, does not impose any term limits, nor do the commission's locally adopted bylaws have term limits for any of the commission positions. All of the seats on LAFCO have 4-year terms, but there are no term limits. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Okay, see no other hands up. Nobody rushing the mic here. I'll just share my perspective. I know we're going through some really interesting and challenging times. We just got through a very dramatic item, which took up a lot of the oxygen here at LAFCO. For me, I know that the majority of growth that we're going to see in the coming years is in South County. It is in Soledad and it is in Gonzales. And personally, having worked with Matt for many years, I appreciate having diverse perspectives on this committee, and I've always valued Matt's input. While we don't always see eye to eye, I do think that he brings a unique perspective. And given all the challenges we have before us with the future growth in South County, I would make a motion that we appoint Matt Gorley as the public member.
I will second that.
I see a hand up from Mayor Velasquez, Commissioner Velasquez.
Sorry, Chair, I forgot to put my hand down. Apologize for that.
No problem. We'll go to Commissioner Craig.
Yeah, I would just acknowledge, I do think that LAFCO does have a good, diverse element of representation, both public and private sector, as well as geographically speaking. And I certainly would be in support of having Steve Snodgrass as the alternate. I just have to acknowledge in many different capacities that we are involved in as electeds, it's just really important to make sure that you have voices from all over the county representing on those boards. And Steve's correct. There's, currently he is the North County rural area that I think would maintain a voice, and certainly as an alternate shows up to those meetings. So certainly would be supportive of continuing Steve Snodgrass as the alternate.
Chair Lopez, I would second each of those.
Okay. So I do have a motion and a second for both now, but I'm going to go to Mayor Oglesby, who has his hand up. Commissioner Oglesby.
Oh, sorry, Ian.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not comfortable with the status quo. It's nothing against those gentlemen's qualification, but to say we're going to keep it exactly the same way it's been for the last 12 years doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you guys want to flip them, then I'm okay with that, I guess. But to say it's just they're both qualified, so let's keep it the way it was for the last 12 years, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I think the rest of us rotate, in our positions. I know special districts, they go through a process to get their members here. So that's up to the special districts, but the rest of us rotate through, and the county has a certain number of slots. I think it's time to just change stuff around, and I don't see how that would hurt any type of development in either part of the county. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We're going to go to Commissioner Alternate Askew.
Thank you. And I just want to echo, I think, Mayor Oglesby's comments. I think that having different perspectives does add value. And for most of the other seats, as the mayor said, we do rotate positions. I would support, I don't get a vote here, but I would support, I think, the suggestion that Mayor Oglesby said about possibly swapping the alternate and the primary for our public seat. And I would also just, I think, like to add some clarification around expectations of our public member to be available to the public when there are issues or questions. Do we have a clear expectation for what that is? And if not, should that be something that we explicitly address and recognize as a member of LAFCO, what our responsibility is to be available to members of the public.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Marianne Leffel.
Just for a point of clarification, and so that we all, I think, understand, when I came on LAFCO 4 years ago, I believe that Mr. Gorley was the alternate, and that there was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Sherwood who had been on there for 18 or 20 years, a long time. So this is not that we are maintaining a 12-year status quo. I think that has to be clear. And I also believe Commissioner Snodgrass, you were actually the special districts representative for a while, and then you came back in as the public member. Is that correct? Do I remember that incorrectly?
That's correct, Marianne.
Okay, so we have had, I think we don't have two people who've been ensconced in positions for 12 years or 18 years or 20 years, but people have switched around in positions within the commission. So I just want to make that clear so the public understands it.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll go to Commissioner Alejo.
I just wanted to thank Marianne for those comments, because I think it's important for the public to understand that what was being said was not accurate, that these folks had not served as long as they were saying. And so it's only been the last 4 years that it's been this way. So if they're doing a good job and taking their roles as public members of LAFCO, I'm supportive of them continuing, and I want to express my support for the chair's motion. Thank you.
Commissioner Velasquez.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. So can you clarify? I want to make sure that I'm understanding as well. So my question was in terms, obviously we don't have term limits, but for those, for the existing two commissioners, can you clarify then how long have they been on the board as LAFCO commissioners? I think I'm kind of unclear now in terms of their time of service.
Kate or Jonathan, do you have those readily accessible?
I believe that Safarina has our information at hand regarding that. Go ahead, Safarina, please.
Give me just a second. I just want to make sure that I have that correct. But we have had our commissioners, especially the ones that we're speaking of, for quite some time, but they have had different roles. I would almost have to go back to my notes to find that at this time. I cannot answer that with a whole lot of confidence. I apologize.
Well, maybe we could ask Matt, how long have you been the voting member? And before that, how long were you on as an alternate? Do you remember?
Yes, I think upwards of 17 years as an alternate, and the last 4 years as the voting public member. Actually, both positions were voting, but Sherwood and I would trade off on Valley issues as they came up, of who was more educated on each one of the issues. So it was great to be an alternate, but I also did serve as the privilege of the Monterey County Mayor's Committee for a number of years as an alternate to the mayors of Monterey County, and then became the public member.
And Steve, could you clarify for us just your years of service and in which roles?
Well, gosh, Chris, it's hard to delve back in the memory banks to figure it out. But I started out as the special districts alternate member when Don Champion was on the board. And then I became I believe Don did not run, and midway through his term, I became the full special districts member. And I believe I served as special district's full member for one full term. And then I was supplanted by Mr. Poitras and became and served as the alternate member for, I believe, 2 years. And then my term was up on special districts and I was not reappointed. And so in 2018, I threw my hat in the ring for public member and became public member alternate the last 4 years. So I have a checkered career just like Matt.
Thank you both, gentlemen. I'm going to turn to Mayor Velasquez, Commissioner Velasquez, and see if that answered the question.
Yeah, thank you. I know that obviously there's been different positions in terms of alternates and then sitting as voting members. So appreciate for digging back into your memory bank to try to get some of that information. I just want to say, thank you for the service. I think all of us know that being part of these boards is really critical, and obviously this is a quite expert. It requires a lot of learning and understanding as well. So we appreciate the commissioners that are part of this. I also want to echo, we do have, I think it's important also to be able to look at different perspectives, and we do have different applicants that have applied for these positions that also come with a lot of expertise and knowledge and different perspectives. And although I'm not a voting member, I do urge that be taken looked at and considered as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I still have a hand up from Supervisor Alejo, but I think that was a legacy hand. Is that correct, Supervisor?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Just want to make sure. We'll go to Commissioner Oglesby.
I'll be quick. Thank you, Chair. I don't mind standing corrected, but I think my point was made about just these two wonderful gentlemen. That's all. That's the point about their service, and I don't count their service as from the special district. I'm just talking about from the public member and the alternate. And then I would ask Kate or anyone that's on the commission, who represents the peninsula? We heard about the Valley, we heard about North County, but who on here represents the peninsula?
Well, if I may answer that, Mayor Oglesby, you're on the peninsula. Commissioner Root Askew represents the Monterey Peninsula. Commissioner Marianne Leffel would generally represent the peninsula, as would Commissioner Pete Poitras. So those are at least some of our commissioners who live geographically in and near the peninsula.
Right. I know for me, once I've come off, the mayors will rotate and they'll go down to South County. And so now if we're talking about the special district representatives represent geographics too, then I think that applies to some of the either supervisors or other people. So I don't think Matt Gorley or Mr. Snodgrass can say that South County and or North County is not being represented. And so I just want to put that on the record. Again, it's not nothing against those two, but I think we just have to share the wealth with some of these positions. So I thank the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Oglesby. We'll go to Commissioner Poitras.
I just wanted to say, I don't think it's really so much how long someone has served on a commission, it's how well they've served on the commission. And with all due respect to the 4 candidates beyond the 2 that are currently serving, both have served admirably, and I see no reason to change their positions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete, for that. And so with that, seeing no new hands, I will go ahead and call the questions. So the first one was the motion for Gorley as the member. Can we go ahead and get a roll call vote on that, Seferino?
Thank you, Chair Lopez. Commissioner Alejo?
Aye.
Commissioner Craig?
Aye.
Commissioner Oglesby?
No.
Commissioner Poitras?
Yes.
Vice Chair Leffel? Vice Chair Leffel?
You're muted.
Vice
You're
Chair
muted.
Leffel?
Yes.
There you go.
There we go. Thank you. And Chair Lopez?
Yes, the motion carries. With that, we'll go to the motion from Craig with a second from Leffel for the alternate to be Steve Snodgrass. Roll call vote, please, Safrina.
Yes, Chair. Commissioner Alejo?
Aye.
Commissioner Craig?
Aye.
Commissioner Gorley?
I think he votes on that.
That's right, you can't vote. Sorry. Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Poitras?
Yes.
Vice Chair Leffel?
Yes.
And Chair Lopez?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you very much for your help with that, Safrina. And with that, we are into our recommended action being to conduct a public hearing to consider proposed annual budget, or I'm sorry, I skipped one. Conduct a public hearing to consider the draft annual work program. And so for that, we're going to kick it over to, actually go on my screen, Kate, who will take us through item 6.
Thank you, Chair. And actually, our senior analyst, Jonathan Brinkman, will present today's item. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Lopez and commissioners. On an annual basis, the commission considers and approves an annual work program to accomplish LAFCO's legislative purposes, mandates, and local priorities. As part of this process, the LAFCO Budget and Finance Committee met on February 18th last month, reviewed the draft annual work program, and recommended commission approval. And just to provide a little bit of an overview of the work program, it's broken down into elements that consist of 6 functions. And so just to review a little bit these the 6 functions and I'll provide an example of 1 or 2 examples of each. So the application processing is the first function, and that an example of that is the City of Soledad's sphere of influence amendment and annexation application for the 647 acre Miramonte project, which is currently on file. And the city intends to address some completeness items this year and provide an updated submittal to LAFCO. So that's an example. Another example of an application that we process is an anticipated application. The City of Gonzales is continuing its work on 2 significant city growth proposals. And for these proposals, it anticipates submitting to LAFCO annexation applications later this year. And then on to function number 2, the special studies. So on our work program, we have preparation of municipal service reviews and sphere of influence studies. And on our work program, that includes City of Soledad's MSR and sphere of influence study this year, and that's in support of its LAFCO application that's on file. Also on the work program is a sphere of influence study and municipal service review for City of Gonzales, and that's in anticipation of receiving their application this year. And also we have City of Marina, and that's to discuss issues of future growth and services. And then for government and community relations, an example here is we have a task underneath this function in our work program to engage in the implementation of urgency legislation SB 418, which authorized formation of the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District. And so that is an ongoing task we have in our work program as that district becomes established. And particularly looking at issues of Monterey County representation and financial sustainability. And function number 4 is the commission and committee functions. An example there is to provide staffing for our regular and special LAFCO meetings and committee meetings. And then function 5, administrative and human resource management. An example we have is our cost tracking and invoicing systems for active LAFCO applications. And financial management, Our example here is to complete an annual audit for fiscal year 2021-22. Just to note on this item that the proposed work program is estimated to be accomplished with our current staffing levels, and is also in line with our proposed budget, the next item on the agenda. And we have provided public hearing notices in the newspaper for this item. So on to the recommendations. So the LAFCO Budget and Finance Committee has recommended to the commission, and the actions today would be to receive a report from the executive officer, open the public hearing and receive any public comments, provide for questions or follow-up discussion by the commission, close the public hearing, and then to discuss a motion to adopt the resolution attached to the staff report approving the annual work program. So
Thank you, Jonathan.
thank you.
Okay, then let's see if there's any input from commissioners before we open the public hearing. Not hearing anybody or seeing hands, we will go ahead and conduct a public hearing, considering it now open to receive public comments on the draft annual work plan for fiscal year 22-23 presented by staff. We ask folks to use a raise hand function, *9, in order to be recognized. Seeing no hands going up, we will close the public hearing and bring it back for discussion or a motion by the commission. I do see a hand up from Mary Ann Lovell.
Mr. Chair, I want to say that the Budget and Finance Committee looked at this in depth when we considered the budget, and we think there are a lot of tasks here that are going to require staff to work hard. We did allow in the budget that we may hire an outside person if we need that, depending on the timing of when things come on. But I think that when we added the city of Marina to both the city of Soledad and the city of Gonzales, which have both been hanging out there for a minimum of, I think, about 2 years, one of them maybe 3 or 4, that the public has to understand none of this just happens. It doesn't just come in and then in a couple months it's done. So staff has been working diligently on this, and I think it's going to be a really full year, but it's going to take all of us to probably roll up our sleeves and make sure we understand the issues. But I think this is a very comprehensive work plan, and I laud staff for putting it together. I think we can make it happen.
Thank you,
And I would
Mary Ann.
move approval.
Okay,
Oglesby second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no additional hands up at this time, I'm going to go ahead and ask Safarina to take us through a roll call vote.
Thank you, Chair Lopez. Commissioner Alejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Craig,
Aye.
Commissioner Gurley,
Aye.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Aye.
Commissioner Poitras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Leffel,
Yes.
and Chair Lopez.
Yes, motion carries. With that, we'll head into item 7, which is to conduct a public hearing to consider proposed annual budget for fiscal year 22-23. And with that, we'll go back to Kate.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. This item has been reviewed by the Budget and Finance Committee last month and is recommended for approval. As had been mentioned, the budget is a companion piece to the annual work program that you just considered. And under consideration today is an annual budget that represents a 4% increase as compared to the current year budget, with total budget expenditures of about $1,079,000. This represents stable funding of for 4 full-time equivalent positions, and it does accommodate 3% cost of living increase and merit step increases for some of our staff based on performance. as has been mentioned by Commissioner Luffel, the budget also provides about $25,000 for outside professional support if we need it. I think that we may benefit from retaining an economic consultant to help us with some of the major development and growth proposals that will be coming into our commission this year. We have taken actions to bring back in-house some of the accounting tasks. And so we've actually seen a small reduction in the line item cost for accounting and financial services. We are not proposing any changes or increases in benefits. And some benefits will continue not to be offered. As compared to the last couple of budgets, those budgets, both this year and the year before, were what we consider to be COVID impact budgets that were designed to place as little stress as possible on the local agencies that fund LAFCO. And in order to accommodate that, for the past 2 years, the budgets have included no COLAs, a reduction in funded staffing levels, no merit step increases, and also a reduction in cost shares from the individual local agencies. We did rely upon our LAFCO savings to help balance the budget. This year, the proposed budget going forward is not a COVID impact budget. We assume a return to modest increases in expenditures for salaries, services, and supplies. We also assume a return to full funding of LAFCO expenses by our cities, districts, and the County of Monterey. In other words, the proposed budget assumes that we will no longer factor in a savings supplement to balance the budget. We are not proposing a return to the level of staffing that we had prior to the pandemic, at which time we had an additional half-time clerical position. So the budget you see here does continue to hold down staff costs. We believe that what we have proposed here will be sufficient to address and to well address the very healthy work program that you've just considered and adopted. And we look forward to being of service to our commission and to all of our local agencies and members of the public. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. And so thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Any questions for Kate from commissioners? I see first hand up from Commissioner Velasquez.
Thank you, Chair. I just have two questions really quick. In terms of the cities and their cost sharing, did we receive any feedback from any of the cities, about their position on that? And then also in regards to the benefits for the employees, what are some of those benefits that won't be able to continue?
Commissioner Velasquez and members of the commission, we did distribute this meeting packet to our local agencies for review, but to date we haven't received any comments. However, I omitted, I did not tell you this, but this is actually the first of 2 hearings. And under our state law that provides guidance as to process, if you adopt this budget today, it's considered an adopted proposed budget. It is subject to a second hearing that will be held next month. And this week, we would send this budget as considered by you today out for direct review by the city managers, by all the CEOs, fire chiefs, general managers, and county administrators. So the long-winded answer to that part of your question is that there is a formal review and comment process that will get underway starting tomorrow, and that will last for a month. And we will provide any comment from our local agencies to you at the commission's next meeting at the end of April. In terms of benefits that are no longer being offered, one of those is tuition reimbursement. So I think that's a main one. We have also very recently eliminated it's called the Employee Assistance Program. It was a counseling program. The costs just skyrocketed. And so I made the decision to cancel that. So those are two examples of benefits that would no longer be offered, Commissioner.
Thank you, Kate. I would just make a comment, if I can, Chair, just in terms of the EAP assistance. I know that is really important for our employees, especially during this time of the pandemic, has been really instrumental to really making sure our employees are taken care of. Mental wellness is really important. So, I understand we had to take that out of the table, but I would, recommend that we reconsider that once the budget is healthier. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Commissioner Leffel.
Yes, Chair Lopez, a couple things. And the Finance Budget Committee consists of myself and Chair Lopez and Commissioner Mayor Oglesby. When we started this budget committee, I think about 3.5 years ago, when Commissioner Poitras was chair, what we found was there was just pretty much I'm going to say a rote way of doing it. And I think this is a very thoughtful budget. I think Kate has worked really hard to look through line items and see where she can save money, what is actually going to be an increase through supplies and through other items. And so I'm comfortable with it. We spent a couple of hours together with Kate and with our accounting firm. And I think the commission has to understand, we had given many of the accounting duties to our outside accounting firm. And because of some staff changes now, we're able to bring those back, which is, I think, much more efficient for the commission. It will allow Kate to have items much more at her fingertips. But I also believe that it's a good cost saving. So I think it's more efficient. I think it'll be more responsive, and I think it's a good way to save money. The districts and the cities had not had any increase in 2 years. And I think before that, we had actually lowered what they had contributed. So this year is a non-COVID year. And we are hoping that everyone is getting themselves back on their own footing. And as we all know, we're all elected. We all know that costs are going up everywhere. So anyway, I feel comfortable with this. I think that we made some changes in committee, and the staff worked with us to make them. And so I would recommend that we approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Leffel. Commissioner Oglesby. And just a reminder, we've not conducted the public hearing yet, so we do still have to open the public hearing before we have a motion in a second.
Let me just make a quick comment then, Chair. I would just say, for the cities and the special districts, this increases an effort to make sure that we have staff within LAFCO itself to be able to do the work that we just talked about doing in South County, North County, and some work over there by Marina. So it's an effort to make sure we have the staff and the abilities to do that work. So I want to thank Chair LAFCO for leading us through that process.
All right, with that, seeing no other hands up, we're going to go ahead and conduct the public hearing, open the public hearing, welcome the public's input on this year's proposed annual budget for 22-23. Again, this is our first hearing, one of two. We ask folks to use a raise hand function, *9 via landline in order to be recognized. Seeing no hands going up, we will go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back for action. The action at this point would be to direct the executive officer to distribute this budget to the county, cities, and independent special districts for review and comments, and to direct the executive officer to schedule a second public hearing on April 25th to consider the adoption of the final budget for 22-23. So this would be to adopt the proposed budget with also those other two pieces. Is there a motion?
Second.
Take the motion from Alejo, the second from Leffel, and with that, go to Safarina for a roll call vote.
Thank you, Chair Lopez. Commissioner Alejo?
Aye.
Commissioner Craig?
Aye.
Commissioner Gorley?
Aye.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Poitras?
Yes.
Vice Chair Leffel?
Yes.
And Chair Lopez?
Yes, motion carries. With that, we have concluded item 7, and we'll begin item 8, our executive officers' communications.
Thank you, Chair Lopez. Our first announcement is a very happy one. I'm pleased to let all of you know that we have completed a recruitment and selection process for the position of clerk to the commission, office administrator, and Safarina has been hired full-time in that position. She's been with us on a temporary basis for several months and has done a wonderful job. So we're very excited moving forward. So please join me in welcoming her. Our second item is just to let you know that we have been providing support to our statewide organization, which is LAFCO, California Association of Local Agency Formation Commissions, of which Chair Lopez is a member of the board. And the support that we have provided this month consists of 2 letters relating to bills that have been sponsored by LAFCO, and both are complementary to the work that we do here in Monterey County. So those letters are provided for your information, and that completes my report.
Thank you, Kate. Any comments or questions from commissioners? Steve, floor is yours.
Well, I just want to thank the commission for re-electing me today to the alternate position. I very much have enjoyed the interaction with you folks and look forward to another 4 years. Thanks again.
Thank you, Steve. Seeing no other hands up, I'm going to go out to the public and see if there's any public input on the executive officer's communications. Seeing no hands, I'll bring it back.
Chris, can I chime in real quick?
Absolutely, Matt.
I really appreciate all the support from the commissioners. We've got a lot of issues that are going to be facing LAFCO in the next few years, the ones that we're currently dealing with, and then of course everything that's getting ready to hit us. And the growth down the valley floor is just extremely important. And there's nothing holding this county together more financially than our ag community. And we just need to make sure we're there for them and make sure we maintain prime ag lands. And I know that's not an issue on the peninsula, but hospitality in the hospitality industry and the support of our citizens headed that direction, and affordable housing on the peninsula, Salinas and down the valley floor are all very important. And we're just seem to be, can't get ahead, and we're always behind the curve on affordable housing. So I really appreciate everybody's support on the appointment today. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. See no additional hands. We are at commissioner comments. I know we started that a bit early there with Matt and Steve, but let's see if there's any other commissioners who would like to make comments today. See nobody charging the mic. We will go ahead and adjourn to our next meeting, which is April 25th, 2022 at 4 p.m. Thank you all for your time and dedication. We'll see you all soon.